Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast for days 3 and 4 of the Cheltenham Festival. We're halfway through. It's going too quick. It's as simple as that. It's been very odd without any crowd there, but we've seen some excellent performances out on the track. If only the Irish could get some horses to win, They're just weak. It's embarrassing, if anything. Joined by Sam Turner, by Matt Toombs, by Declan Ricks, by Steve Jones, and by Matchbook's own. He is indeed one of our own, Mihal Deasy. Everyone happy? All good? Looking very... Jonesy's not. I wonder what hats Jonesy's got up his sleeve for this broadcast. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's ties or glasses. Who knows? Right, let's bring you up to speed where we are at the moment. We'll work with regards to what we've put up so far. So we've had a mixture of success between the anti-post preview and indeed the daily previews we've had. Day one winners, we had Honeysuckle 2.23. That was put up by Adele Mulrennan when she was 3.75 as a best bet on the anti-post preview. Galvin went off at a Matchbook SP of 4.9. I know Toomsy backed that as well because he was texting me about it saying it's the obvious one and I ignored him. That was irritating. Sharjah was a place bet for two of the guys, 3.0, seemed obvious and was. Ballyadam without appreciate it. Rixie loves those without the favourite markets almost as much as he loves Nicky Henderson, almost as much as he loves the new course in that order. And Hooghry, Adele, and Guinness. Rixie is a few down. I'm worried. I'll be honest. Hooghry placed at 2.0. That was another Adele Mulrennan special. Right, DC, just tie up where that would leave. Just to spell it out for people. If you're betting with the exchange, why you should bet with the exchange over sportsbooks.
Yeah, so you'll often hear us talking about you get a better price in the exchange, and this graphic here will just show, you're not getting much juice on the shorties. You look at a small bit better price on Shishkin, for example. We had him at 1.53. But then you look at Vintage Clouds. He went off at 29.0, which is 28 to 1 in the sports books. We would have got him at 38.0 at the off on Matchbook. Now, for 20 quid stake, that's a difference of €165. You look even at the Mayor's Hurdle Black Tiers there, you're getting 15.5 as opposed to 12.0. That's a difference of 64 quid. So you're making significantly more profits on the exchange if you're backing with us. Now, these prices include the 2% net win commission that you pay on the exchange, which should lead us nicely into our new sign-up offer at the moment. Sully?
You can take it away straight in on that, Dees. Remind us of the offer.
The sign-up offer at the moment is if you sign up today with the bonus code INSIGHTS, we're going to get 0% commission. So that means you're getting the best price and the best value possible for the Cheltenham Festival, for entry, and this is on all sports, so everything else in between, and it runs until April 12th, so it is a cracking offer. So if you're opening up an account today, use bonus code INSIGHTS.
All those prices that we showed you on screen were calculated with that 2% net win. But if you take out a Matchbook account today, you get 0% commission. That's on all sports until April the 12th. Just to tie you up with winners we've had today as well. Bob Ollinger, 2.84. Craig Nish was placed 3.4. Put the kettle on 12.5. Well done, Dee. In fact, the guys did well on the Champion Chase because I was... sat there when we were doing the preview saying, lads, it's obvious you need to back Shaq and Poursoir at better than even money. But he was backing third in the end, and a couple of the guys said Nuba Negra placed 2.98 and Adele had some net placed at 3.3. So those were the winners on day 2. And Rixie, he got excited because he was tweeting about the fact that he backed Grenadine at a massive old price. Obviously on the Matchbook exchange he did it, didn't he? and it nearly cocked, but there you are. Right, should we get into a preview? Should we go for the DC and I couldn't say Marsh more differently. I call it the Marsh. DC calls it the
Marsh.
What are the prices?
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Marsh. Loyal Padriga Cara. That means Happy St. Patrick's Day, my friends. And Envoy Allen is at top of the market at 1.549. Chantry House is 12.5. Chatham Street Lad is 13.5. Shamblu is 14.0. Fusel Raffles is 22.0. Asterion Forlange is 29.0. Black Bow is 32.0. And Darver Star is 44.0.
Right, let's start with Envoy Allen, because the three of the guys I know are supporting Envoy Allen. I don't know if you're actually putting your money behind him or not. Matt, I'll start with you, because when we did the trends and the over-under bet horses on this, he really ticks all the boxes, but he has shortened up a little bit than when we did the podcast, the Antipost podcast. That was really just after the move from Gordon Elliott to Henry de Bromhead. Well, suddenly that train is in very good form now. So the price seems to have readjusted. Would you back him at that price?
I think it's just about getting to the stage where I'll leave the race alone. I certainly wouldn't want to be laying him. He looks the beau ideal of the steeplechaser. And my guess is that he's probably the most talented of the 3 odds-on shots in the Grade 1 Novice Chase this week. It's rare that I look at a horse and visually can't find anything to pick a hole in, but he's one of those. If you move from the visuals to the paperwork, then you can argue that his hurdles form hasn't worked out that well in the Ballymore. A lot of people are saying that though he hasn't beat much over fences, you can rely on that. But Mossy Fen was the only graded hurdle winner in that. You'd usually got 3 or 4 graded hurdle winners in it. The first 3 home this year were all Grade 1 winning hurdlers. And with Easy Work no longer with us, the big getaways got injured. So maybe his form has a bit more style over substance. The thing I'd be more worried about is the fact that he had a breathing operation before his chasing debut, and he's not been off the bridle in his 3 runs over fences so far. So there is the possibility that his breathing will catch him out if there's anything good enough to get him properly off the bit. A lot was made of the stable move, as you said, but not only did Galvin win on Tuesday, Sir Gerhard, a young, inexperienced bumper horse you might think would be more susceptible to problems with the stable move, has just won the bumper. So I think he's a banker. My hunch is that 1.55 is probably still a little bit too big, but it's probably getting to a no-bet race. So if you don't want to play in that, maybe a couple of pointers in the place market. Chambler's form's taken a few knocks this week. Sporting John was well beaten when falling in the Brown. Big Breakaway was a bit disappointing. Snow Leopardess didn't run a great race really in the National Hunt Chase. By contrast, Nicky Henderson, as well as Shishkin, his yard came in a few question marks over it at the start of the week. But he had the 2nd, 5th and the 6th in the Coral Cup today, which is arguably more encouraging about the stable form. So maybe Chantry House or Fusel Raffles could be a play in the place market. But Envoy Allen's a banker for me.
Disa, when I come to you, I don't know if you can get those place market prices up or the without. I'll leave that up. Just to tie up Envoy Allen if we can. Sam, I feel like there'll be a few probability punters out there saying, well, one of the short price favourites is going to get beat. I'll oppose him. But that's not necessarily the way to look at it. Is how do you sum up Envoy Allen?
Well, Monkfish wasn't quite a white knuckle ride today, was he? But he wasn't far off. And there looked an almost enormous burden on Paul Townend's shoulders, really, because I felt that he almost rode the horse with a bit of he's a little bit tentative through the race. He just didn't ride him with the confidence that he had done at Leopardstown when there was very little to lose. When you're on a 4-on chance or a 2-on chance and it's been the plan all season, then there has to become a little bit of human error and a little bit of human emotion transmitted down the reins to the horse. But this Envoy Allen just looks a proper professional, proficient jumper. Jack Kennedy obviously struck up a tremendous relationship with him. I just don't see anything wrong with his chance whatsoever. I think he's just a pretty unflappable horse, really, who's very efficient at his fences and has got speed between them. I don't see anything in the race that is screaming out to be backed each way, if I'm honest. I think Chantry House, a nice horse. If he doesn't recoil off that Weatherby run after the break, then I think he'd probably be the one. And Chatham Street Lad, I mean, if he's back in the form that when he won the handicap pulling hamstrings, then he could be another one that you might consider in the place only market. But very difficult to envisage defeat for Envoy Allen unless something, a loose horse brings him down.
So at the moment, sort of punting wise, you might just be foot off the gas just watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we've been lucky enough to be treated to some exciting chases this week in the novice division. Obviously, Shishkin, Monkfish today, who won ugly, as Jurgen Klopp would say. It was a dirty 3 points, and it was a bit of a dirty win, really, wasn't it? It was, a little bit underwhelming, but he still won 6.5 lengths, stretching away at the line, and he did plenty wrong in the race. Well, I'm not sure I can see Envoy Allen doing as much wrong in the race, and be disappointed if he can't convert a good opportunity.
Had to get his Wolves reference in, didn't he? Jonesy,
still great with those penalties, Tom.
Yeah, just to tie up Envoy Allen. I feel like there's been a lot of talk of, why is Honeysuckle that price on form? That's ridiculous. Appreciate it, but back like defeats out the question. This, and all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but they still go and absolutely bolt up. So it would be ironic if this was the one that doesn't. Would you back him at that price, or would you look to put him in multiples, or would you look in the place market?
I certainly wouldn't back him at that price. I just don't see what there is to gain. Anything can happen to stuff you up when you're going in at odds on, and I just don't. There's nothing to be gained for me. I think he'll win. I think he's an exceptional horse, as he's shown. The important thing, as we saw with Monkfish, is the course form. If you can prove that you can win at the Cheltenham Festival, which he's done twice, and you can jump, then he's just head and shoulders above. I was surprised that Shan Blue was that sort of price. It's sort of got me a little bit more interested, either in the place market or with the out. I don't hold it that Sandown form from last time as a judge of him, because that was on dreadful ground, and I thought they got racing from a long way out in the Scilly Isles, and Sporting John, who stays very well, just picked them up in the closing stages. So I wouldn't get too wound up in that. And I was impressed with him earlier in the season, both at Kempton over 3 miles and Wetherby over 3 miles. But I'm sure on decent ground he's got the pace to cope with 2.5, and he's the one I'm most interested in, whether he's good enough to trouble Envoy Allen, I'm not so sure. So maybe a place bet or without bet for Shamblou.
All right then, Dees, go on. Place or without markets. I know we've had Chatham Street Lad, and you're not gonna leave him, given that you backed him at a decent price earlier on this season when he won. So take it away.
I don't have the prices for the without market at the moment, no, Tom, but I'll give it a place market. So we leave out Envoy Allen is 1.2, so we leave him out. Chatham Street Lad is 2.34. Chantry House is 2.36. You have Shamblou is 2.2. Fuse Raffles is 3.25. Black Bow is 4.0. Steering Flange is 4.2, and Darver Star is 4.9.
Okay. And how would you play Chatham Street Lad, Dees?
I will back him. I will back him to place, and I'm going to back him in the without as well. If I'm hoping to get about, if I got about 4.0 on the without market, I'd be happy enough with that, and definitely place as well, because I think that he had easier targets than this, I think, for the week, and he's going for the big one here. He's won at the course already this season, very, very impressively, and this is his Gold Cup, and it'd be brilliant for Mick Winters. I think if he even finished second here, he'd be absolutely delighted, and that's probably swaying my decision a small bit as well, that he's from up the road here, and I'd love to see Mick Winters interviewed on television. But aside from that, he's a very, very good horse. He was absolutely brilliant there at Cheltenham earlier in the season, so that'd be the way I play it. I've plenty on Envoy Allen and Antipost already at bigger prices. I wouldn't be touching them at 1.5 just in case it's too short a price. You're not going to win anything worth winning, really. So maybe go for something like Chatham Street Lad in the place market or without.
You can smug off with your anti-post slips on Envoy Allen. Disgraceful after timing. It's racing blogger-esque, that.
Excuse me, no, I've been on about him all season. I've been on about other horses as well, anti-post, that I'm going to mention later. Envoy Allen is just she was a no-brainer.
I jest. Yeah. Go on, take it away, Rixie. Yeah. Then you've got a bit of Chantry House. You've got a Hendo loving going on. How are you approaching it?
Yeah, look, I'm going to play there without market. I've absolutely no interest in backing Envoy Allen at 1 to 2 around those prices. There's nothing about his chase form that suggests he should be that price. But obviously, the issue with him, it's actually the best thing about him is just he's so idle, and he's got so much class, and he goes through the races so easily. We don't really know what's under the bonnet, so I'm hoping tomorrow we're going to find out what's under the bonnet, because I'm hoping Chantry House will push him. I've been absolutely dying to see Chantry House on some nice ground. Really looking forward to it. I think he needs it. He ran well in a Warm Supreme last year when he was incredibly raw on ground, far too soft. And I think he's improving over fences here. He jumps fences well. Thankfully, Matt made a very good point about Nicky's horses there, that they've been running well. There was a little bit of a worry about some of them this week, but they've been going okay. And, I can see there he's about 3 to 1 best price without Chantry House, and I think that's a cracking bet. So I'm hoping he puts it all together tomorrow, Chantry House. And look, I think he can potentially push Envoy Allen if Envoy hasn't had a race this year, and that's not usually a good thing. Remember when Booher Dare, his second champion hurdle there, Nicky wouldn't run him against much that season. And then after he scrambled over the line, Nicky goes, well, we didn't have too much competitive racing this season. He probably needed some. So, look, we'll see. And I just can't back Envoy Allen at that price. I love the horse. Who doesn't love the horse? As Matt says, visually, you can't point anything about him that's a negative. But in terms of form and in terms of figures, which I like, there's no way he should be that short. So I'm going to back Chantry House each way, given there's 8 runners, and I'm also going to back him without Envoy Allen. So Thursday's a big day for me punting wise. I fancy a lot of horses. Chantry House without would be one of my better bets of the week. So let's go.
I love it. And you're getting on it the night before as well. So you wake up feeling fresh.
Well, yeah, if I'm not too fresh, you can just have another one in the morning. Hair of the dog is scientifically proven.
Of course it is. So Chantry House popular for Rixie, playing in the place market, and he's also going to play in the without market as well. Anybody want to add anything? Sam, go on.
Well, I was just impressed with Rixie, really, because he shelved that keep fit regime, which he took on yesterday in his jogger. He had his nice little hoodie on. He looked like he'd just done 20 miles around the block, and he's gone for the beer and the glasses and the round neck tonight. Good work.
Do you know what? That's the nicest thing someone said to me this week, is about even mentioning me with the word fit in it. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a while since I've been at fit, so as you can probably tell. But anyway, Sláinte.
Good lad. Crack on.
I had to say that, and I had to say there's a horse called Slaunch and Thanks or something, and it came up on the screen, and I didn't know how to say it. Not a clue. Not a clue. Right, let's move on from the Marsh. We'll move on to our next contest, which is the Ryanair. Hey, it's a nice and open Ryanair, and a frightening amount of agreement in this race. So first of all, these prices. He's done it, right? That's a fine for DC already. And he's Matchbook's own as well. It didn't unmute. Go on.
Fuck's sake. Okay, sorry about that. No, surprisingly, Min is the favourite. When did this happen? He's 6.4. Alaho is 7.4. Imperial Aura is 8.8. Melon is 9.8. Fakir Dudery is 8.4. Mr. Fisher is 9.8. St. Calvados is 11.5. Where's Sam Crow? Dash and Drafter is 27.0, Real Steel 44.0, and bigger prices the rest. Sam Crow's down the bottom there at 13.0. Sorry, these aren't in order here at the moment.
Well, go on. So you might as well kick. So I take it you fancy Sam Crow then, Deece, and you did last time. He's a little bit shorter now actually than when you put him up on the anti-post. Go on, why?
Yeah, well, why? Because he's won at the Cheltenham Festival twice, lads. He's a very good horse in his day. He was, I think he was 25.0 on the anti-post when I put him up. He's 12.0 now. Look, he had a huge reputation, and people would say he probably hasn't lived up to it because he's not running in Gold Cups. But I thought his win last year in the Marsh was absolutely unbelievable. He beat Mellon, he beat Mr. Fisher. Maybe he comes alive at Cheltenham, and I think that at this price, I'd still be very interested in him in a win and a place bet. I think the better ground will suit him, bit of spring ground will suit him. He's already beaten a few of these horses. This is a very tough race now. There's a lot of good horses in this race, but I think he will definitely be my play. I've been on about him for a long time, and I'm going to stick to my guns.
Thanks for flagging those comments out, though. I don't know why we haven't got Helen Sheridan's most recent comment in there. I think that's the most important one of the lot, where she simply says, "Bet Rixie doesn't fit his trousers."
Which trousers, Helen? You should know they're in your house, fuck's sake.
Oh, Helen, he's quick. He's quick off the mark as our Rixie. So that's a shout for Sam Crow from Deece. Rixie, just before we get into Team Mellon, Rixie, you're another one for Team Hendo. Go on.
Yeah, I'm. Tomorrow is a big Henderson fanboy day for me, which I don't mind because Nicky's a brilliant trainer, and obviously this is the day and the week that he peaks them for. Look, this is a great race, but again, similar to Chantry House, I've been absolutely waiting ages for Mr. Fisher to get back on some good ground. I thought he ran a brilliant race in the Marsh last year as a 6-year-old. and which was won by Sam Crow, who I think was an 8-year-old. Mellon was second as an 8-year-old, and Faugheen was third as, was he 11 or was he 10? But anyway, it was very soft ground. He was a young horse taking on horses who were much more physically likely developed ahead of him at the time. I think he's improved again this year. I think by the sounds of it, Nico's going to be a lot more positive with him today. I think he was a little bit disappointed he held him up last year. I think that will suit because he stays this trip very well. And the last time this horse ran on decent ground was at Doncaster, where he beat Al Dancer. And if you remember that day, it was good ground. Geez, this fella quickened up like he was a flat horse. I think this ground is really going to bring out the best in him. I should mention as well, I'm very, very, very interested with the money in Sam Crow, and I'm probably going to back maybe 2 in the race. I'm going to add Sam Crow into it. I actually did an interview with Eddie O'Leary of Gigginstown during the week, and Eddie said to me, he said, when this horse is right, he can breathe and he's in good form. There's not a horse alive who can beat him. The horses from Cullentra are running very well this week, I think it's fair to say. So if we remember last year before the March, in the weeks leading up to it, his price slowly contracted week on week, and it's looking similar again. So I'm going to back 2 in the race. I'm going to back Sam Crow, and I'm going to back Mr. Fisher, please.
You can do that. Win and place or win only?
Probably 2 win bets, I think. Yeah, it's very competitive. Yeah, 2 win bets for me.
2 win bets on Mr. Fisher and on Sam Crow, both decent prices. Matt, first of all, tell us how old Faugheen was. You can answer that question.
I think he was 12 last year, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah.
Very good. And go on, you can lead off with Team Mellon, because I know there's 3 of you that like him. And you made the point on the Antipost preview that a bit of value doesn't often go a long way in this race. They're quite often well found in the market, recent winners.
Yeah, 10 of the 13 Grade 1 winners have come from the front 2 in the SB market. But as DC said, it's much more competitive than usual. The other key thing in this race, as with so many of the intermediate trip chases on the new course, is that being ridden prominently is a huge advantage. So Mellon looks to have everything set up perfectly for him here. He's had a couple of races at Leopardstown which he doesn't really act that well on, where they haven't got the tactics right. But every year he comes to Cheltenham and he improves out of all recognition. He's been second at the festival for the last 4 years. And I'm not having it that he's a weak finisher. I've rewatched last year's Marsh a few times, and he's on the wrong stride at the last. He lost a bit of momentum. Was half a length down on the run-in. He was squeezed up by Sam Crow. He had every excuse if he wanted to shirk it. And he rallied, and he was just done on the nod. He was unlucky. Faugheen was closing on them, but he really a 3-miler at that stage. So for me, a lot of punters want to knock him because he's got a poor win record. But that just means his price in the win market at 9.8, I think, is huge. And there's a good case for saying he should be favourite. We know this trip suits. He can use his jumping. The cheek pieces are back on. The forcing tactics suit the race really well. He's back at the festival where he always peaks. And we talk about money for Sam Crow. There's often a wall of money for Mellon in the last few hours of the run up to the festival. Think how he was backed in the Champion Hurdle a couple of years ago. He was well backed for the Marsh from big prices last year. So he's an obvious place market bet, but I think he's a really good win market bet as well. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes off a fair bit shorter, and I'll be having a proper bet in both those markets.
That was very convincing, I've got to say. Jonesy, you can add to it. You like Mellon too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Cheltenham Festival form is the stuff that stands up year after year, and second in 2 Champion Hurdles. Couldn't have gone any closer last year in the novice race. It is a very competitive race with 4 or 5 who appear to have the similar sort of chances, but I just think coming back to Cheltenham for Mellon, I think I agree with Matt that I think the market is overreacted to Mellon's run at Leopardstown when it was in a race. The Irish Gold Cup was won from the front. He was held up last in testing ground over 3 miles, and he's much better, strong pace, 2.5 miles at Cheltenham, and he's got all those. So I can't see how he can be out the frame. So I'd be tempted, even though he's not a monster price, to have a bit of a saver in the place market as well as the win market.
Another shout for Mellon then, who has been accused of being a weak finisher in the past. Helen's come back to you, Rixie, by the way. That's superb. Absolutely superb. In your face, Rixie. Go on, Helen. Sam, what have you got to add to Mellon, the case for Mellon?
Well, other than Helen's own Rixie, like Rachel and Paul Townend this afternoon, got you in a pocket there, haven't she, Rixie? I haven't got a lot to add up from what the boys have said about Mellon, really. I hope he sits in that sort of second draft in behind the likes of Min, Allaho, Dasher, Drasher, and Brian Cooper's just a little bit more patient and just sits off along with Mr. Fisher. I'll probably back the two in the race myself. Mellon would be my primary pick, though, because, obviously perseverance has been one of the watchwords, really. I mean, we saw that with Vintage Clouds on Tuesday. Horses coming back to the festival regularly and looking to win, even on their 4th, 5th start at the festival. And I think Mellon's longevity, ensures that he deserves a win in such a prestigious race as this. It's a belting renewal, really, really good renewal. But I'll be looking to back him and probably Mr. Fisher as well, because I think the ground's come absolutely right for him. And I was with him last year and I was a bit disappointed in the ride he got, to be honest. I thought he was too negative on it, Nico. So hopefully he sits a bit handier to what looks to be a strong pace tomorrow.
Another shout for Mr. Fisher then as well. Can I just put a question to the floor and anyone jump in on this? Allaho has been weak. He was a favourite when we did the anti-post preview, and now he's out to second favourite and could go out beyond that. Is that a concern for anyone, or does he get to a price where somebody goes, hello? I think he was 7.6 there, was he, Dees? Does anybody want to talk about Allaho or say anything about him?
Yeah, I just thought he was the wrong price, to be honest. I think the market is realigning to where he should be. There's no reason why he should be favourite in this field, in my opinion. And he proved last year in that novice chase when he was mowed down by Champ that he doesn't quite see out the 3 miles. And I think everyone's got overexcited by the fact that he's coming back to 2.5.
Okay. Happy with that? Anybody else?
Yeah, he was a terrible price all along. There's no bit of form in his book that suggests he should be that short. Maybe getting to a correct price now, I think. Also got a tongue tie on first time, which maybe not a good sign. So yeah, I never got the buzz with Allaho, but ruling out Willie Mullins' horses at Cheltenham is probably not a good idea, is it? So to be fair, he's a bit more backable price now.
I'd agree with. I think having Rachel, I think having Rachel on him as well will be a massive plus, because I think that she will try and go from the front on him again tomorrow. It'll suit him. Maybe he won't stay 2 mile 5, but if he was hitting 8.0, 9.0, I might have a small win bet him, all right. But he shouldn't have been as short as he was all along. But I could see Rachel going off out the front with him and trying to make all and making him catch her.
Matt?
There's an interesting comment Patrick Mullins made a week or two ago, saying that he thought Allaho was a really good Grade 2 horse. And perhaps there's a bit more of a vibe around that's where he is.
Yeah, and I think Ruby's been, on his road to Cheltenham's, he's been, I think he's made it patently clear that he would ride Min over Allaho, and he would be in Min's camp over Allaho. Right, let's move on. Stayers Hurdle. What a great shame we don't have Time Hill now, which means Paisley's 3.2. Go on, Rixie. DC, sorry.
I don't think Rixie will be able to read this time the way he is at the moment.
No.
Paisley Park, 3.2.
You could say I'm Flooring Porter.
All day. Fury Road is 9.2. Flooring Porter is 13.0. Vindication is 14.0. Lisnagar Oscar is 12.5. The Storyteller is 11.0. Beacon Edge is 19.0. If the Cat Fits is 36.0. There's all massive prices in for the rest.
Right. Rixie, Paisley Park. He was your best bet in your anti-post preview. Sell it to me. Go on. Make me want to back Paisley Park. Why?
I'm going to sell it to you right now. Paisley Park for me tomorrow is a max bet. Just this ground. This is his ground. Everyone thinks he's this absolutely slogging stayer. Don't get me wrong. He stays well. This horse has got pace to burn when he puts his mind to it. He's got gears. All the sectional analysis on him I've done suggests he's not just a proper stayer. I hope Simon Rowlands isn't watching this now, who is obviously the sectional guru and going, well, hold on a minute now. This fella's talking baloney. This fella's not a slow horse. And I've always thought he's much better on decent ground because he can show those gears. I think if he jumps around tomorrow, he's going to win. You know, he never wins. He never bolts up, does he? Because he's that kind of behind the bridle, big buck style kind of horse. But with Time Hill out and Roxana running well during the week, I just think he's in a different class to these. I really do. I fancied him all along. Now Time Hill and Roxana are out. I just look if he's well. Look, that's the thing with racing. We don't know if these horses are well. You know, we've been putting up horses every day of the week, and you see, I fancy a horse at 8s. You know, is probably a little bit overpriced, and he goes off at 12s or 14s. You know, it's clear that horse's preparation hasn't gone well or whatever. And to be fair, sometimes you can be wrong. If Paisley Park is right and the Lavelle team are in decent order, they're a smaller string than usual. So, you know, if they're not having winners, I wouldn't kind of read too much into it sometimes. I just think this horse wins, and I will be having a very good go off him tomorrow.
Do you think there should be any, what happened last year? Yes, it was an anomaly, but do you have to build anything of what happened 12 months ago into his price as a potential worry, or do you just take it out your mind?
No, I don't. We've seen him twice this season, and he's run very well. He had a heart issue. Having read up a little bit of that heart issue, supposedly when that happens with horses, it corrects itself relatively quickly. He obviously with COVID last season, he had an extra time off. He didn't go to Aintree, he didn't go to Punchestown. He started at Newbury, ran very well against Time Hill at Newbury, who's bringing that good Albert Bartlett form. In theory, he was the best horse that day. He finished second, but he gave him £3, and then he rectified it off level weights at Ascot on ground. I think he hates when everything went wrong for him. He's got the new course, which I know you love, Tom. We've got 2 hurdles in the last 6 or 7 furlongs, or whatever it is. Jumping's not going to be an issue. He's got loads of time to get into it. I just think this horse, even if he brings the level that he ran to against Time Hill the last day, he'll win. If he brings the level that he won this race years ago, he's going to absolutely bolt up. So, look, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Sometimes you've got to know when to pull the trigger in this game. I'm going to be pulling the trigger tomorrow, win, lose or draw. I don't really care because I just love this game.
Love it. Love it. And a couple of weapons covered there as well, with triggers.
He's a right weapon, isn't he, that Richie? That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, so from him to last year's winner then, Dees, you're going to have a bet in the place market?
I am. I agree with what Richie said there about Paisley Park, and I hope Simon Rowlands is watching. Hi, Simon. And he's at to put up Paisley Park as well. Richie, so the price could be ruled. Get on tonight. I like Lisnagar Oscar to place. I think that his run the last day was very good. Again, he won this race last year at a massive price after being, I think he was favoured for the attempts the year before. Again, there's been a bit of money for him. Again, course form, all that kind of stuff. He's 11.0. You're going to be getting about, I'm just checking on the place mark that we got a price from. He is going to be 3.5. I'm happy enough to take that. And I will also back You Never Call in the 4-place market or the 5-place market. Now, he finished 4th. He's actually, I think he's like crazy price when he's 160.0 to win. But
you love that horse. You've had that horse before.
Yeah, he finished 4th to Paisley Park at Ascot behind Time Hill and Roxana, and he made most of the running and just got tired and he just got run out. That was the day that I think Jonesy had the big massive rant about Roxana not staying 3 miles, and she ran my lad out of third there and then the final hour. But like he's a really good horse. He absolutely trashed on the blind side a few years ago. Was off for a long time. He's had a nice break now. He's been out like, I just think he shouldn't be the bottom price horse in this. He's 160.0. And so I'd be having a bet off him to hit the maybe 4-place or 5-place. I'm going to be getting about 10.0 or 12.0 for that. I'd be happy enough to have small bets on him as well. But I think Paisley Park will probably win this. I don't think it's going to take much winning. I think he's the only top class horse in the race.
Okay. And then we've got team side de Burley. So Sam, first of all, I know you fancy a couple against Paisley.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really respect Paisley. The speed figures that myself and the lads keep, the long walk performance suggested he was right back bang to his best. So, looking with a heavy heart, I take him on. I think it's difficult sometimes for these horses to come back from atrial fibrillation and come back as good as they are and do it week in, week out when they have to go through the wall like you have to do on this course at Cheltenham. That long pull from the second last to the last, you've really got to want it. And hopefully Insider Burley and to a lesser extent the Storyteller, who represent that Pertemps form from last year, both of those are well schooled on the track on that particular course. And Cider Burley 2 from 3 on it as well with a placed effort in the boys race as well. So I think he's a very, very solid each way bet. Perhaps against Paisley, who's in and around the 2-1 mark. Cider Burley 6.0 as Dees likes to call it. Win and place for him, and probably I might try and mix it up with a couple of each way doubles with Min and Cider Burley and the Storyteller, and try and get some place money rolling on the Stairs Hurdle from the Pertemps form.
Interesting. How does it match up, Matt? The Pertemps form transitioning to because I know you like Cider Burley as well, transitioning to a Stairs Hurdle.
It doesn't normally, but the big difference last year was on Racing Post ratings, on time form ratings, and on the sectional times. Cider Burley put up a better performance in the Pertemps final than Lisnagar Oscar did in the Stairs Hurdle. So I'm not sure he's actually got to improve very much. I think the ground's crucial for him too. Last year, before the festival, Gordon said that he was worried about the soft ground. He'd be much better on a sound surface. So I think he can keep improving from that. So I'm not as bullish about Paisley Park. I am worried about the heart problem resurfacing. I didn't think Roxana ran that well in a much lesser race. It was only over 2.5, and she's probably better over 3. But I thought she let the form down a little bit. And I think
we can just definitely say to Jonesy, Roxana, she's an out and out stayer, isn't she? That's confirmed. Sorry, Matt, go on.
And I think Time Hill in that long walk hurdle, it was only 22 days after the long distance. And Philip Hobbs has said throughout his career, he's not very robust. He needs time between his races, which is why they freshen him up after that. He's obviously got injured now. So I'm not sure that long walk hurdle form is quite as strong as everyone else seems to think it is. But I think Cider Burley, if the blinkers work again, he's peaked last 2 years at the festival. As Steve's been saying, festival form so crucial. And I think that the yard is going pretty well. He's about 7.8. I actually think he's got almost as good a chance as Paisley Park, who's about 3.0. So from a betting point of view, I think he's a cracking bet, one of the bets of the day.
Yeah, he's a fair bit bigger. And Jonesy, tie up your thoughts. You're going a bit left field.
Well, as you know, I bloody love that Roxana, and I would have really fancied her in here, but she's not in here. So I'm going to go for the horse that beat her in a Grade 1 at Aintree 2 years ago. I can't quite believe I'm putting this horse up, but it does make sense because I don't really like the horse. If the cap fits, I mean, Rixie says he loves the game. If the cap fits, absolutely hates the game on chasing. Chasing is what he's been doing this season, and he absolutely hates it. And he's run all right. He went round Kempton in the Grade 1, the Quarto Star at Christmas, and finished 7th, but he absolutely hated it. And again, last time at Taunton, over 3.5 miles. He finished 2nd to Jarla Enki. Now, it's hard to get past Jarla Enki in that. And he ran all right, but he hates that. Now, if you go back to his hurdles form, it's great. He has that Grade 1 against Roxana and Apple's Jade. So he beat both of them, giving them £7. That was the first time he wore cheek pieces. He demolished the last flight. He came to a standstill and still got back up to win. I know this is going to be a stiffer test, but he does stay 3 miles, in my opinion. The only other time he ran over 3 miles over hurdles was in the Cleve hurdle when he was beaten quite away by Paisley Park, but that was run at no pace whatsoever. And he was messed around at a crucial time, tightened up on the turn and that. And if the cheek pieces have the desired effect, if coming back to hurdles he thinks God, I haven't got to jump those great big things over there. It's just these things. 33-1 for a horse of his ability. He should never be that priced. And I think Paisley Park is very solid. And it was good to get a veterinary report from Rixie about heart conditions, because that was going to worry me a bit. But Rixie knows the veterinary procedures.
Well, if anyone's going to know health related issues, it's me. Look at me, I'm just a perfect picture of health.
So yeah, it surprises me that I've come to this conclusion, but in my opinion, it makes sense. It's what was it, 36 or something? These 36 for a horse of this ability.
Would you split stakes win and place? I'm going to keep talking to you there because DC's muted. Would you split stakes win and place?
Yeah, probably would. Yeah, probably would.
34.0.
Massive. It's just massive. When you consider some of the horses that are shorter in the betting than a horse of this ability.
So listener Goroska plays Cider Burley, the storyteller. Another shout for Cider Burley, If the Cap Fits for Steve, and Paisley Parker, best bet for Rixie. Let's move on to any other bets, and I'll just go round as I can see you for any other bets on Thursday. So first of all, Sam Turner, any other horses you're backing on day 3 of the festival?
Let me have a look. Yeah, do like Spirit of the Games a little bit in the per temps. I think he's a bit of a naughty one really, because he's been chasing obviously, but he's got a fairly decent record when he shipped up at Cheltenham. He's finished third in the Betfair Hurdle 2 or 3 years ago. I think this track, as we touched on a little bit with Cider Burley and the storyteller, suits the more patient approach. So I think, you know, he'll obviously be ridden slowly catchy monkey really by Harry Skelton, you would think. And there's some really nice, obviously unexposed horses in the race, you know, Imperial Alcazar and the Boss's Game, and all those Boss's Oscar, and all those sort of horses. But I'm going to take a bit of a chance with him with all the places.
Spirit of the Games in the per temps at a decent price as well. Anything else on Thursday, Sam?
The other one that I quite like is Rosie's Hollow in the mares race. That Solarina hurdle has produced 2 of the last 3 winners, I think, or 2 of the 3 winners that have come from the Solarina have gone on to win this race. So I was really taken with her. She saw off Royal Kahala. Thought that was a really good performance, really, because Royal Kahala is obviously a fairy house, heavy ground specialist, and she turned her away, and Galoise as well. So I'd be hopeful that she'd run a very big race in the mares.
And I think for moving on to Matt, isn't there an angle with the Pertemps that horses that have been over fences have got a half decent record, just reflecting back to Spirit of the Games? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, that's true, Tom. Yeah, if you were coming to me, there are quite a lot of them, about half a dozen this century, have reverted in the Pertemps after running over fences that season. And
your other selections on Thursday, Toomsy, who do you like?
I'm going to take Sam on in the Dawn Run with Royal Kahala. She absolutely bashed Hook Up out of the way, ran past her as if she wasn't there 2 runs ago. Sam said Rosie's Hollow did beat her in a slightly tactical affair last time, but she's got a £9 pull with Rosie's Hollow there for a couple of lengths, £6 with Gauloise. Peter Fahey said the other day, looking at her action at home, you wouldn't say she needed soft ground. She is by Flemingsford. It's obviously a key influence for soft, but the downside of her breeding suggests fast ground would be ideal. So he seems to think she's going to cope with the underfoot conditions well. And at the weights, I think she's a really good bet in a year where there isn't a Lorena-style standout, and everyone's waiting to see what the Mullins punt is going to be from his battalions. But Willie's been saying ever since She Wears It Well got injured early in the season that he thinks Royal Kahala is the best novice mare in Ireland. So I think at around 5.0, 6.0, something like that, she's going to be. I think she's a decent bet.
Yeah, she's currently 6.2 is Royal Kahala. Rosie's Hollow is a 7.2 shot. And I was trying to find Spirit of the Games, 22.0, Sam, just so you know, for the Pertemps. DC, what do you want to add?
Just on Royal Kahala, this is just something I heard now, but a fella that has a horse in Peter Fahey's yard told me that William Mullins tried to buy Royal Kahala from them, and they said no because they thought she was that good. So I think she's a cracking bet in that. And the other one, I put up Glens of Antrim anti-post like at 21.0 a few weeks ago. Now she's 7.0. I think that could be the Mullins punt that's happening right now. She's been put up by other tipsters, and I think that caused a big move in the price as well. But she finished second to Statler over, I think it was 2 mile 6, and all she did was stay on. I think that over the shorter distance at Cheltenham, I think she has a very good chance as well, although her price isn't amazing now, so it would just be win only tomorrow. But if the money comes to her, I think she'd be a serious bet in that.
Have you got any more, Dees, for Thursday? Are you done there?
Yeah, I do. I think the shunter, the shunter had, I think he had 5 different entries, 2 in his bonus, and he's gone for the plate, and he's been backed accordingly. I think he's definitely a win-only bet in that. And I also like at a big price in that, Dead Right, Neil Mulholland's horse. He's another JP McManus runner. But Neil Mulholland has said that he has been waiting for better ground with this horse. Now, he won earlier in the season, I think, at some random track like Sedgefield or Huntingdon, but he won very well. He won a bumper at Punchestown years ago. I think it was a grade 1. And has moved over since. I think he's about 36.0. So I'll be having a small win and a little place bet on him as well. And I think Bob Mahler in the Kinmure is completely overpriced as well. He finished third in it last year. He's been back in from bigger prices. Now the stable isn't in great form, but previous horses that have won previously in this race have a good enough record. I think he's about 14.0 at the moment. So again, I'll be having a win in the place betting him.
And 5.5 for the shunter. Matt, did you have any more for Thursday? I came away from it. Are you done with that? You happy with that? Perfect. Jonesy, Thursday, any other bets?
Yeah, well, after this is pure coincidence, because after If the Cap Fits, I'm sticking with the hat theme with Milliner, who has only snuck in at the bottom. It was a reserve in the Pertemps, and he snuck in. And I thought, when I was looking at it, and I looked at Miller, and I thought, God, this has got a right chance. And then saw it was reserve, and I got a bit demoralised and started to think about Storm Goddess, who should like the drying ground, who I think is overpriced at 40s. But Milliner has got a great chance. Went for home too soon in the Pertemps qualifier at Punchestown a couple of 3 weeks ago. And the drying ground, this horse will love it. It's not a horse that's had a lot of racing either. An 8-year-old, but had a year or so off at one point, or actually had a couple of years off. So unexposed, right under the weights for being well handicapped. Rachel Blackmore, Henry de Bromhead, better ground. I think it's got a great chance. And the other one,
Milliner is 9.8, by the way. Go on.
In the plate, I think there's a horse in the JP McManus colours called Dead Right, another right down the bottom of the weights. This is a horse that goes very well fresh. And I think this horse has always had a lot of talent, but it's taken a while to get the hang of chasing. And it's another one that missed a year, but came back after nearly a year off at Market Racing in September and won very well. Now, the form of that wouldn't be fantastic, but I think that the two things with that race, it was run at a really good pace, and he jumped really well off that pace. And if that's the key to him, and he'll like the good ground. So Dead Right. I hope we're dead right.
Yeah, isn't that the one that Dees just put up? Is that what happened, Dees? Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't listening, was I?
Am I speaking too fast for you, Jonesy?
It's that Cork accent, by.
When I press mute, that means all of you are mute. I can't believe
he's absolutely nothing without a hat on his head. He's just finished.
You know what? You made a way better argument than I did. So, thank you. I said he would have Sedgefield or Huntingdon or somewhere random like that, but Market Racing, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I did hear you say that, and I thought, oh, that's a bit disparaging. I wonder what horse he's on about. But he's got a great chance. Yeah,
he does.
I think at that price, that is big. What is he? What did you say he was? 34.
36.0, I think he is.
Yeah, 36.0. There you go. There's another one.
Sam, what did you want to add?
I was just going to say, I think we all know Jonesy's tipping the Grand National, don't we, in the old value scope or the mirror readers. We're going to get cloth cap and that'll be it.
Yeah, definitely. There's no way this is coincidence. Right, Rixie, your Thursday bets don't start with Dead Right.
Like I said earlier, Thursday is a big day for me, and I think the biggest value selection of the week for me runs in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. I have no idea. Well, look, maybe she's this price because I'm wrong, basically. Look, I keep my own ratings, and in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, the top rated horse I have in there is Perfect Myth. She is 50 to 1 in a place, 33s, 40s all across the board, and she's the top rated filly I have in the race. She's got handicap form. She jumps for fun. She travels for fun. I just hope Harry Skelton holds her up for her to get a run, and there's a bit of pace to run at. I respect a lot of the Irish horses in the race, but so many of them, it's like Galwaz, Rosie's Hollow, Royal Cahal, especially Royal Cahal and Rosie's Hollow. Those are two big mares, and they have actions on them that they might not enjoy the quick ground. So I'm not sure. Galwaz especially, she hits the ground very hard. DC's anti-post punt, Glens of Antrim, I'm a big fan of her. I think in time, she's going to be a very, very good mare. A lot of respect for Hookup, but can you actually give me a price on her, DC, there? What is she, please? Perfect Myth.
Ken, she is 38.0.
Like, she's top rated on my ratings. It could be absolute baloney. I think she's a cracking each way bet. So we'll see. She's one of the few horses in the race that I think will love this drying ground. I'm praying Simon Clace doesn't water overnight and it doesn't rain overnight. The drier, the better. She's my best value bet of the whole week. Thursday's a big day for me. Max bet on Paisley Park. I'm big on Chantry House without. So, yeah. And this is not even me after a few pints talking big. This was legit how I was feeling before all the drink happened. So, I just think she's huge. Say again.
This is you after a few pints talking big.
No, it's not. Honestly, I've been texting my good few of my racing mates all week about this mare. I was just hoping no one would put her up, and that dastardly Simon Rowlands put her up on the attheraces.com website today. So he's kind of stolen the thunder, but she is an outrageously big price. I really think she is, and her form is working out as well. So tomorrow's a big day. Let's go.
Big day for Rixie. That's Perfect Myth in the Mayor's Novice. Jonesy, you wanted to add?
Yeah, just to say that my postman has just texted me, and he said he's spoken to Fergal, F-U-R-G-A-L, which I presume means Fergal, F-E-R-G-A-L O'Brien, and says, and this is going to be of interest to everyone, he says, Imperial Alcazar's got a chance in the Pertemps. I don't think he realises it's favourite.
Brilliant.
But I thought I'd pass that on from my postman, who is obviously going to retire on the back of this because he thinks it's about 100 to 1.
Does he always deliver, Jonesy?
Yay!
Not to me, doesn't. Only council tax bills, which he delivered today.
Rixie.
No, not even any birthday cards.
Is your birthday today?
Tomorrow.
All right.
Oh, Jonesy.
Everybody remember to wish Jonesy a happy birthday for tomorrow. Rix, you got any more for Thursday? Are you done?
Yeah, just to mention one in the same race, Sky Ace in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. She's too big a price for what she's done as well. I'm going to back those two fillies against the field. Yeah, let's go. Happy days. Tomorrow's a big day. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a big day for Rix. Right, best bets for Thursday. Best bets. Sam Turner, your best bet on Thursday, please.
Oh, Spirit of the Games. Go on, we'll go for it. Big price.
Spirit of the Games in the Pertemps. Matt Toombs, your best bet on Thursday afternoon.
Mellon, both the winner and place market.
Mellon in the Ryanair. If you fancy that. Rixie, your best bet, we know.
Paisley Park.
Paisley Park. And your best value bet?
Ooh, let me think. Perfect Myth.
Yeah.
In the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Go on, Neil King.
It's a big day for Rixie.
It's a big day for Rixie.
Did I say it's a big day for Rixie? It is a big day.
It's a big day for Rixie. Steve Jones, your best bet for Thursday, your birthday.
I'm going to stick with Matt and go with Mellon.
Mellon in the Ryanair. And Deesh, your best bet for Thursday?
I'll go for Glens of Antrim in the Mayor's Novice.
Glens of Antrim in the Mayor's Novice. We move on.
Big day Thursday.
It's a big day on Thursday. It's a big day on Friday as well. Right, the Triumph Hurdle kicks us off. Dees, give us some prices for the Triumph. Is that Alan King still got the fav?
No, he does not. Sneezy Foster has the fav. Zanahira is 2.46. Then you have Tritonic is 3.95. Calixios is 5.9. Adagio is 10.5. Oh, Ecolair is 11.0, and it doesn't really matter what price the rest are.
And you can kick us off, Dees.
Oh, look, it's not a race I'm going to be heavily involved in. I think I'm just going to back Calixios because I think he has the best of the recent form of the Irish horses, and I don't think Tritonic is going to win it. I thought Calixios was really good at the Dublin Racing Festival. Now, you know, Zana here is well fancied by all the times, lads, what he did before Christmas and at Christmas, but I just thought Calixios was absolutely deadly at the Dublin Racing Festival. Now, the stable move isn't ideal for a young horse, but he's 5.9. I'll just have a small win only betting him.
Matt, you agree with Calixios, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously there's the risk with the stable move, but as we mentioned, a couple of them have gone on one, including a bumper horse. So I like him. I think that spring juvenile has produced 5 of the last 9 winners. He'd been off quite a long time before that, 99 days. So you'd hope he'd improve a fair bit for it. The time there was pretty good compared to Appreciate It's. His form with St. Sam was another line that got a boost in the Fred Winter. Zanahir's form with him and the winner, Jeff Kidder, also got a boost. So it certainly enhanced the view that the Irish juveniles were a fair bit ahead of the British ones. I'll be inclined to take Tritonic on. The Adonis often is talked of as a good trial for the Triumph, and 4 winners have come from that this century. The last was at Zarkandra a decade ago. But you get a lot of impressive winners of the Adonis. Solo won by 13 lengths last year, was only 8th. For Edition was only 6th. Master Blue Eyes won by 11 lengths, was only 10th. And because of they get going quickly in the Adonis and they get spread out, and it's easy to get suckered into thinking that there's a real star. Some of them are. Maybe he's going to be another Zarkandra. He's a fairly short price I'd be looking to take on. And a bit like DC, I would be playing Calixios in both the win and the place market. I think he's a good stayer. And even if one of the others is too quick for him, I think he's got an excellent chance of being in the 3.
Peters Puns has joined us, and I mentioned that because I think you backed and you said on the pod last time that Jeff Kidder was a bet in the Boodles. So well done, absolute monster shout. Right, team Zana here then. Sam Turner first of all.
Yes, Tom. Don't be dopey. Back Sneezy.
There we go.
And Zana here for me just looked an absolutely quality animal. When he was winning around, where was it now? Fairy House, wasn't it? Slamming St. Sam in that world record time. He didn't do a great deal at Leopardstown in that slowly run affair, but I don't think the form's too shabby, is it? Judged by the fact that Jeff Kidder, because he kicked every hurdle out of the ground and still bolted up in the Boodles. So he's certainly not the bet of the week at 11 to 8, 6 to 4. I think that's sort of the price has been well hammered by now, and his abilities have been well factored into the prices. But I could certainly understand those who want to back with the dead 8 Calixios each way. I thought he's the one that's stepping forward. I'm not a big Tritonic fan in this race for some reason. I quite like the horse, but I just think that Kempton race is bobbins. The second and third I think have been beaten since. Casalupi got turned over at Stratford on Monday. His times haven't been anything astonishing either. He's been beaten up the same horses. So Zana here for me, I think he could potentially be a worldie, and I'd love to see him win it well, and then go and take on Honeysuckle next year. I know he'll be a 5-year-old, but I still think he's got the quality and the physique and the ability to go and give her a race next year. That's how highly I rate him.
Good shout, strong shout for Zana here. Jonesy, I know you maintain, you did in the Antipost preview, that the Irish form far trumps that of the UK form.
Yeah, a million miles in front, in my opinion. I know Tritonic was very impressive in the Adonis, but you've got to wonder what actually beat. Casalupi, who was second, was beaten at Stratford on Monday, and I just don't see that he's beaten anything of any quality. He's beaten Casalupi twice at Ascot and Kempton. That was with the runner-up both times, and that's a million miles from my opinion. Tritonic's owned by a mate of mine, so I really hope he wins for him, because he's had horses. He's had Walk On was second in the Triumph Hurdle to that old dog of Henderson's that went beginning with Z. I can't remember what it was called now. It went really iffy. And also Grametti was third, and he had a horse called Mill Chief, who was favourite for the Triumph Hurdle. When it was a bad year, it turned out to be, and he was injured and missed it. So he's desperate to win the Triumph Hurdle. But I just don't see Tritonic being as good as the Irish horses, unfortunately. And I think Zanahiyr is the right favourite and the best of the Irish horses, and that makes him the one to beat for me.
And Rixie, I don't know who you fancy in this.
Yes, I was hoping DC could pull up the place market here, because I'm going to put up the outsider of the field, which is Historic Heart of Nigel Hawkes. I was actually hoping this lad would run in the Boodles, to be honest, because he's a very likable horse. I think getting back on this better ground is going to be a big plus, and so is the first time Visor. He was beaten by Adagio at Cheltenham back in December by 4 1/4 lengths, but he was giving him £3 that day. And I just think the Visor, his experience, and the switch back to better ground. Look, he's going to probably need a few to underperform here, but for a 4-year-old, he's got lots of experience and he's got a brilliant attitude and he's a strong galloper. I think he's not the worst bet to hit the places here. So what price have we got there, DC?
I have no price for the place market, but he is 160.0 in the win market. So you'll be imagining you're going to be getting a good chunky price for the place.
Grand, yeah. Big price, isn't it? Big. Yeah. Friday's a big day as well. Starting off with a big day.
That's a big shout then for the Triumph. We done Triumph.
Look, I suppose. Sorry, I probably should quantify that. He's 160 to 1 or whatever, and Adagio is probably usually 12s or 14s, and he was beaten by him 4 lengths. He was giving him £3. Different ground, got a Visor on first time. Price difference is just too big. So look, we clearly needs a few to underperform, but he's the type of horse, if a couple underperform, that he'll make the most of it. So yeah, I'll have a look at him. Hopefully the 8 stay in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Albert Bartlett then, moving on from the Triumph. The Albert Bartlett on Friday. 2:30 this is. Prices for us, Dees. Is this as open as it often can be?
Yeah, so Stackler is the favourite at 5.9. Then you have Fakir at 7.4, Torregraph at 7.6, Barbados Bucks is 8.4, Alaphilippe is 10.5, 305 is 13.5, Adramel is 14.0, Ngodo is 17.0, and it's then his bigger price. No, the Cobb is 21.0. I know Matt is interested in him. And you have the likes of Vanilli or then Oscar Elite or 25.0, 30.0.
Well, let's come to the Cobb first of all, because you put him up on the Antipost preview, Matt, saying that he had to be supplemented, and you hope he was, and here he is.
Yeah, Ben Pauling supplemented at the weekend, said his prep's gone really well. Improved hugely for the step up to an extended 3 miles in the River Don. It looked to go a decent gallop there, and he absolutely galloped them into the ground. Now, some of his main market rivals, like Oscar Honeybee, who's in again here, and Bob Hope or No Hope, stopped pretty quickly. So whether that was them underperforming or whether they just couldn't maintain the gallop, time will tell. My strategy generally in this race, there's 17 of them lining up. I usually get a big field, and it's a very unpredictable race. It's very hard to find something that you think is a rock solid play in the place market. So I usually try and back a couple at prices in the win market. And this year, it looks quite a weak renewal. By contrast, last year, 13 of the runners were rated 140 or higher, 350 or higher. This year, Statler's top rated on 146 and only 8 are above 140. So it looks like the sort of renewal where lots of them have got a similar chance, and it could fall to a tough, grizzled grinder who copes best on the day rather than an embryonic star like Monkfish outclassing the opposition. And the other one I'm interested in is Gavin Cromwell's Vanillier. Gavin's horse has been under a bit of a cloud. He did have a winner in a couple of seconds from 3 runners on Monday. And by the time we get to this, Dava Star will have run in the Marsh and Flooring Porter in the Stayers Hurdle. So we'll have a better handle for how his horses are running in strong races. But he had a bit of a fitness and hurdling experience advantage when he beat Statler in a 2 mile 3 maiden at Nace in November. He just failed to reel in Farouk Delane in that Grade 2 at Limerick at Christmas that Marcello Tower, Penhill and Weapons Amnesty have all won en route to the Albert Bartlett. He bombed at the Dublin Racing Festival when the Cromwell horses were under a cloud. But if you can forgive him that, and they're running a bit better on Thursday, then he's about 30.0. So they're the sort of prices I want to play in this. And probably I'll be having a couple in the win market. Flip side of not wanting to bet in the place market is I wouldn't mind laying in the place market. There'll be a few of these that'll be relatively short, who I don't fancy. Barbados Bucks will be one of them, who's been kept to ungraded races and who's priced on hype, I think, not on form. So those would be two decent price ones for me in this.
And has something put you off Alaphilippe? Didn't you go with that on the antipost?
Yeah, just the price has collapsed. I was interested in him. He's now 10.5. He was about 20s 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I like him. Wouldn't be surprised to see him win or just run really well. But that's just not the sort of price I want to be betting at in this race.
Yeah, fair enough. Steve, you like Alaphilippe, right?
Yeah, I'm a bit worried that my postman didn't make any mention of Alaphilippe in his text, but he probably doesn't know it even exists. So I'm going to take that as a pinch of salt. But I think this is a really good horse. I was really taken with this horse at Taunton over 2-3 in January when it was second to Stella Magic in a good race where Tile Tapper, who'd finished third in the Tolworth, was third again. And the fact he was able to go round Taunton, give £4 to Stella Magic and only be beaten in the closing stages, I thought was very good, because when you saw Alaphilippe step up to 3 miles at Haydock, I mean, it was hugely impressive. And I think you do want a bit of a battler in this race, a real grinder, and he's got a touch of class, I think. So that's my only worry with him. And it's kind of reverse psychology, because if you've got a horse with a touch of class that stays 3 miles, you should be more confident. But it is such a brutal race. That's the only doubt in my mind, because I think he's a really nice horse, Alaphilippe. And I get what Matt's saying about the price, but there's others shorter than him that I think have got less of a chance than Alaphilippe.
Okay, he's just into double figures. Then there's a few shouts for Fakira. Rixie, you can lead us off.
Yeah, look, probably should be said that I can't remember the last Albert Bartlett winner I backed, but I really, really like Fakira on this, and a lot of my opinion about this race is I just think this horse is going to improve massively for much better ground. He's got the form in the book. I thought Gallard Dumesnil ran a brilliant race today, although he was well beaten by Bob Ollinger to be that keen in a race that probably wasn't run to suit and still beat a horse like Brave Man's Game so well. I think that's a good omen for this form. I know Statler is the favourite in that race, and he beat Fakira by 2 lengths at the Dublin Racing Festival, but Statler had complete run of the race that day. Fakira had an awful trip in comparison, and I just think he's probably better suited to the race. Statler is a lovely horse, to be fair to him. Really nice type, and to be honest, he moves like he wants much quicker ground as well, so I have full respect for him. And so much respect from that I might have a saver on him, but he's just a little bit keen for my liking. Statler, he needs to just grow up a little bit, and nothing against the horse, he's still a young horse, he's still learning, but I think Fakira, the Cullentra horse have been running very well this week, so I'm hoping he'll be another one to go in. I'll just briefly mention that I spoke to Eddie O'Leary during the week, and I basically asked him, what do you think's the best chance of a Gigginstown winner this week? And he said Choreograph. So he runs here, so he was quite keen on him. And obviously the Great Tiger role went in today, so kind of read into that what you will, but
Eddie doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Yeah.
No, say it to his face, mate. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
So look, yeah, I just thought I'd pass that on. But I see he's got cheap pieces on first time. I think that will really help him, because he's a horse again. I think Nick Luck said the other day, it's a phrase that's creeped into racing over the last 10 years. Nobody used to say it, but he's another behind the bridle type. and the cheek pieces will definitely help him. So, but look, I really like Fakir. I've been dying for him to get back on some nice ground. So hopefully, old Simon Classe puts away the old watering cannon as well for Friday.
Fakira, Sam?
Yeah, I like his chance a lot. Like Rixie, he wasn't best positioned, was he, at Leopardstown? I think the better sounder surface will help him. 3 miles at a decent pace on this track as well. I think that, the fact they only jump a couple of hurdles in the last 6 or 7 furlongs, I think that helps as well. I like his experience. He's had 7 runs, like Matt's point about, the battle-hardened, grizzled hurdlers, better suited to this race, the ones that keep grinding rather than ones that, are sexy travellers, so to speak. The other horse I quite like at double figures as well. I can't quite understand why he's twice the price of his stablemate. Is 3 Under Through 5, who I think Jonesy will put me right if I'm wrong, was named after one of Max McNeil's relatives. Was he 3 under in the Open many moons ago through 5 holes? I don't know where he finished, Jonesy, but probably one of your bets. He probably lagged up by about 5 shots, didn't he?
No, it's Max's father, who was Ted McNeil, and Portrush Ted was named after his father, who was professional golfer at Royal Portrush. And when the Open was at Portrush, he was 3 Under Through 5, but then he hit it in a bush and it didn't end well. But the funny thing with his dad, he was obviously from Northern Ireland, and his best mate was Fred Daly.
You mean Ireland?
Northern Ireland.
There's no such thing, mate. Anyway, carry on.
Careful. Fred who? Fred Elliott.
Fred Daly. So they were both equal, kind of. They were coming through the ranks, and they were both about equal. And then war broke out. Fred Daly spent the war playing golf. Max's dad spent it in a bomber. And by the time they came back, Fred Daly won the Open, and Max's dad was off the pace because he'd been obviously flying in an aeroplane, having people shoot at him, which wasn't the best preparation for a golf tournament.
Not great for your short game, is it?
No. Right, this is a Matchbook horse racing podcast, and if you just joined us,
thanks for that, Jonesy.
And,
15 minutes of stand-up.
Can't imagine Bryson DeChambeau with preps like that, but anyway.
Sitting in the back of a bomber. So 3 Under Through 5. I think he's been a little bit underrated by the market. I was quite taken with him last time, and there's been plenty of winners come out of all 3 of his wins. Handled good ground at Ludlow. There was just a little bit of a query that the trainer was on about Aintree rather than Cheltenham, but anyway, he's been directed here. And Jonesy, who's got a very close line into the yard, and the naming of all these horses will probably tell us the reason why.
Which horse? I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I've lost the thread there.
Say one.
3 Under Through 5. Why is he coming here rather than Aintree?
No idea.
No idea. Perfect. I love it.
Ground would be too quick for him, I think. But
great, thanks, Jonesy. That's really pushed on Sam's fire. Dees, who are you with? Fakira and another as well?
Oh, we're talking about this race for so long, and it's such a shit race. I hate it. Just put on the Gold Cup. I think Fakira is a very good show for this, but he's too short. There's only been 3 single-figure price winners in the last 10 years. I think Vanillier is a great shout there for Matt. I'm fully in agreement with him. I think that I actually backed him. I backed him for the Dublin Race Festival, and he ran absolutely terribly, but you want the grinder, you see how much ground he made up on Farouk Deline from the last. He must have been 25 lengths down coming around the final bend, and he nearly got up to him. So I'll be backing him, and I will probably have a small bet on Pat's Fancy as well at another big price. He finished second to that John McConnell horse, so good earlier in the season. Was pulled up the last time behind the Cobb. I think that the better ground will suit him. And Rebecca Curtis, of course, has won this previously with at Fisher's Cross. So I'll probably play the 2 big prices against the field and just wait for the Gold Cup and hope this gets over. So
let's you love this race. Let's move on to the Gold Cup then, the big one. Friday afternoon, Can Album Photo, get the 3P up. He's 3.95. That's a little bit bigger than I think when we previewed this before. Go on, Dees.
So Album Photo is 3.95, Absolute Tard is 5.5, Champ is 6.6, Roy Pagoi is 11.0. Santini is 14.5. Fraud and 16.0. Kemboy 17.0. Manila Indo 17.0. Native River 16.5. Lost in Translation 34.0. ASO is 150.0. And who's on the bottom there? Black Op 150.0.
Dees, you can kick off the trio of people who really like A Plus Tard. So go on. Why have you come round to this horse, 5.5?
Oh, I just think he's a deadly horse, and his form this year has been excellent. I would love to see Album 4 win just for just seeing history, 3 in a row. But I think A Plus Tard has been a revelation with going up to the longer distance. I think he's high class. He travels, he jumps. He's like he's won over 2 miles. He's won over middle distances. I just think everything is in his favour, and I think at that price, I think he's a nice bet, a nice win only bet.
He's obviously shortened up dramatically since he won the Savills. But he ticks all the boxes, doesn't he, Matt? You like him as well?
Yeah, he does. He's the horse stepping up in trip, and the horses who've shown their best form when stepped up to 3 miles tend to be under bet here because of unfounded stamina concerns. The way he finished in the Savills, you'd think that he would improve rather than get worse for an extra couple of furlongs. He didn't get the run of the race there. He was trapped in behind Allahu and Fakir Duderi and had to use a lot of energy catching them up. And he's got the ideal speed and stamina mix. He's got the 2 mile cruising speed. He was only just beaten in the Fortria in the autumn. He beat Chakan Passoir last season. So I think he's had the ideal preparation. He's got that sort of neat jumping style that is much more suitable for a Gold Cup than over shorter or intermediate trips. And an Album Photo, I think you can take him on. I would be worried about the drying ground for Album Photo. Willie said all the way through he wants soft ground. The last 2 years it's been good to soft, but it's been really testing earlier in the week. There's still been a lot of juice in it on Friday. And if we get that sort of good ground Gold Cup, then I'm not convinced he's going to be as effective on it. And I think he's probably got to improve again. The 2 Gold Cups he's won a couple of years ago, he beat Annabelle Fly cosily by a couple of lengths. Annabelle Fly's 0 from 9 in Grade 1s. And last year it was a bit of a messy race and he just scrambled home. So if this is an up to standard Gold Cup, I think he's got to improve a bit. And I'm always tend to be with the horses having their first run in the race who tend to be under bet. And I think at around 5.4, A Plus Tard's a really good bet here.
And Sam, you can complete that trio. I just want to put it to you that the form of the Savills isn't actually all that, and therefore he's too short here. What do you think?
I understand what you say. I mean, we'll have to wait to see how the Ryanair pans out first before we make a judgment call on that in some respects. But I mean, it looked a hell of a renewal going into the race, didn't it? And I thought he did exceptionally well to win. Like Matt says, looking for all the world, as though an extra couple of furlongs and a stiffer test of stamina would bring about even more improvement. I mean, I was a little bit underwhelmed by his performance in the Ryanair last year until sort of started compiling speed figures on the race and worked out that it was probably the best chase that we had that week, just slightly better than Champ. So it probably wasn't such a bad run after all. And he didn't really lose any ground from the last. And all he was doing was galloping and staying on. He's just got a brilliant record at Cheltenham. The stable's in absolute rude health at the moment. There looks plenty of pace in the race as well. The likes of obviously Native River going to take him along. Manila Indo, you'd think would be prominent. Maybe Black Op, Kemboy, if he's going to be ridden forward like they suggest he might do. So hopefully, Rachel will get a good toe into the race. She'll just sit in behind the front 4 or 5 if they go a million up front. And I could almost see it going off favourite. I think there's been a move for it today, based on the stable form. And if it continues to dry over the next couple of days and they don't put a lot of water on, I think he'd be vying for favouritism come race time.
So 3 strong shouts for A Plus Tard. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate with that. I do think he's got a great chance. And then things you never thought you'd see, Rick C and Steve Jones in agreement with Album Photo. Jonesy, why the favourite here?
I can't. It disappoints me that I can't get excited about this race at all, and I just don't think this is any better than last year. I'm not of the opinion that A Plus Tard is a certain stayer. I think the way he travels And I know he finished strong over 3 miles at Leopardstown, but they're going to go quick in this, and you're going to have to stay. And Champ, I've never particularly liked. I thought he won the Novice Chase at this meeting last year by default because the other two went for home too quick, and everyone got very excited about the way he was finishing. Well, he wasn't finishing, really. It was the other two that were stopping. And I think the first two from last year might be the ones to concentrate on. And I'm getting, as I was sat here, I'm getting more like, I'm liking Santini more. If
Good timing, Helen.
Yeah, I mean, Helen is clearly ironing Rix's trousers while she's watching. And
sexist, but anyway. Don't talk about me missus like that. Thank you.
If Santini does want good ground, like Nicky Henderson has always insisted, and like the pedigree suggests Santini did, he's hardly ever got to race on it. I mean, he's raced on it a couple of times at Kempton, which wouldn't have suited him at all. And in this race last year when he was second, when they didn't go very quick, if the visor helps him to travel and he goes with the pace, he's a strong stayer. It could be set up for him. And I think that run at Sandown, which he doesn't particularly like Sandown. He scrambled home there from a few inferior rivals in that intermediate chase early last season. But I don't think he likes Sandown. He doesn't really like heavy ground. So I wouldn't get too worked up about that. And he might be the one, but I can't really get excited about the race. And that saddens me a little bit.
Oh, bless you. Poor thing. Rixie.
I actually I agree with a lot of what Jonesy said. I would say with a Plutard, look, I thought he did incredibly well. It was a serious performance from the horse and from Darragh O'Keefe as well, who lifted him home to beat Kemboy and Mellon the way that the race panned out. But like I've long felt that 3 miles for Kemboy off a good gallop is as far as he wants. I thought we saw that in the Gold Cup last year when he was backpedaling fairly quickly after. I think it was after the second last. Mellon has always looked like a proper intermediate distance trip horse as well. Allaho back and forth obviously didn't run up to form that day. So I'm with Jonesy on this. I'm not convinced entirely that a Plutard will stay the trip. But to be fair to him, in my notes that day, I just kind of said he's not flamboyant with his jumping. Reminds me a bit of Bobsworth. You know, he's going to be saving energy that kind of way as well. And he's obviously got the pace from running over 2 miles, 2.5 miles, that I think will serve him well for a long time. But I think he's short enough. For me, in terms of figures anyway, I think the second best horse in this race is actually Frodon. I think Alboom Photo is the best horse in the race and Frodon is second, but Frodon, the trip is a little bit of a worry. But obviously the ground is quickening up by the day now, and even if they water, I think it's still going to be, it's still going to be useful ground. I think he's a very good back to lay proposition in this race. I think he, coming down there in proper Gold Cups where they run at a serious gallop, not last year's Gold Cup now where they kind of not dawdled along, but it was a nice kind of building pace. The wheat from the chaff really gets sorted out by 4 out. I can see Frodon going as well as many coming down to 3 out. And then after that, who knows? So I think he's a good back to lay proposition because in terms of ability and ratings and that, and I know that's not everyone's bag, I think he's the second best horse in this race. So I'll put up Frodon as a back to lay because I think what price is he, DC? He must be about 14, 16 to 1 with Matchbook, is he?
I don't know what you mean by 16 to 1. He's 16.0.
I apologise. There we go. I'm showing my greenness again. Helen will be so mad when I get home. But anyway, look, that's the bet for me. I think he's the second best horse in the race. I think he's a very good back to lay jumper. Myself and Helen have talked about this numerous times, and he's the best jumper in the race. So, he'll do. But look, I still think the one they all have to beat is Alboom Photo. I agree with Matt. The ground is potentially getting a little bit of a worry, but they always kind of say horses will go on at once, whatnot, and he's a very fresh horse. Sure, he only runs twice a year, so He might go on it once, and all he needs to do is go on it one more time, and he's a legend of the game.
Last question on Frodon. I just want to put to Matt, just because I want to back reference your point about horses running in the race for the first time and stepping up in trip. Doesn't he fit that bill perfectly?
Frodon does, yeah, absolutely. The problem with Frodon is, I think, if he gets taken on, he tends to sulk a little bit. He got a freebie in the King George, got a bit of a freebie when he won the Ryanair. Last year in the Ryanair, when he got taken on, he didn't seem to like it. So with the likes of Native River up there, for me, I would be more an in-running play with Frodon. If he can get to the front, because he's a very quick horse by Gold Cup standards, and get to dominate it, then I can absolutely see where Rixie's coming from.
There you go. So you can do that on the Matchbook Exchange, of course. You back Tilley, you can back him, and then look to get out when he trades shorter at some point, which is exactly the angle that DC had with the horse that finished third in the Supreme for pleasure. Although you should have just backed him in the place market, DC, because he finished third. There you go. Right, move on to... We're done with the Gold Cup, everyone. Anything to add?
Well, I actually just want to say, with Matt's point there, that Frodon, he kind of didn't like it when he was taken on last year. Last year, Nichols is on record as saying he suffered with ulcers a lot. I don't think that was his true running. I really don't. He's got pace to burn, and fair enough, totally agree. He got total run of the race in the King George, fair enough. But if you go back and watch the replay, you know, Min and a couple of other horses just went by him like he was standing still up the straight. I just don't think he was right that day. He ran well below par. And as I said, he had a couple of bad runs that year. Nichols is on record as saying he had very bad ulcer problems, and this year they seem to be rectified. So I just wanted to potentially point that out.
Matt?
You've got one other play in this, and that's laying in the place market, Royal Pagaille. He'd be running on a sound surface for the first time. He's running in his first graded conditions race. He's a very low jumper. Now, he might be a world beater, and so I wouldn't want to be necessarily laying him in the win market. But given he's never run in a race where they've gone anything like the sort of gallop they're going to be going here before, he's been running in races like the Peter Marsh. So there's a good chance he won't be able to cope and be out of it before the business end. He's definitely lay material in the place market for me.
His first 3 or 4 fences at Kempton when he won that day weren't exactly convincing, were they? He's not going to get away with that in this kind of race. So fair play to, we should probably talk about him a little bit more, because fair play to Rich Ritchie and the lads there. They're rolling the dice, but I agree with Matt. That's actually a decent shout in the place lay market. I think it's just potentially going to be too much for him.
What
maybe he's an anti-post bet for next year's Betfair Chase, though. That's what I've been kind of thinking with him.
Just had to get them in there, didn't you, Rixie?
Yeah,
just had to get that name in there.
It's another conversation myself and Helen have had. You know, she's a good judge.
Have you got a price, Dees, for the place market for a Royal Pagaille?
Just 2 seconds there now, I'm bringing it up. So he's 3.05 to back him and 3.15 to lay.
There you go.
Yeah, good value in that.
That's 3 places as well. So
yeah. Righty ho, that's us done with the Gold Cup on Friday. We can move on to any other bets on Friday. I'll go in reverse order now. DC, other bets on Friday.
So I've been backing Ganapati for a long time for every single race, but I always got it wrong. He's in the county now. He's favourite. He's about 7.0. I still think that he is outrageously handicapped off the mark he is, and I will be backing him to win. Just to win at that price now, I think, at this stage. I also think Ciel de Neige is a very big price in that race. He is placed at Cheltenham before. He's a high-class horse. He's a big price. I'm just trying to get the price up here now. Sorry. Ciel de Neige is down here, 28.0. So I'll be having a small win and a place bet on him. I think it came to pass in the Fox Hunters. I'm still fairly sweet on him. He's into 8.0 now. I'll be having the win bet him. And in the last race, I think Mill Green is a massive price. I think it's 26.0. He finished 6th in the race last year, but absolutely flew home. And I'll be having, hopefully I won't need to get out at that stage, but I'll be having a bet off him in that race, along with probably 5 or 6 others as well. I haven't figured out yet.
That's in the Martin Pipe. Let's go to Steve. Who do you fancy on Friday? Any other bets?
My old pal Edwardston, who I backed for the champion hurdle, but Alan King, this is a shrewd move because he knew it was going to be softer on the Tuesday and dry out during the week because this horse needs good ground. Shrewd move, Al. Shrewd move. And this is a class horse. He ran really well on terrible ground in the Greatwood when 5th of the Shunter. And he ran a really sound race at Newbury in the Betfair hurdle. Sorry. When 3rd, Soaring Glory might not have done much for the form, but I don't think that was Soaring Glory's right scenario in the Supreme. And Edwardstone, he does, if it dries out, and like Rixie said, that Simon Clace doesn't get his water cannon. I'm glad there's no crowds there, because if he's got a water cannon, oh, it could have been carnage. So hopefully there'll be no water and it'd be good ground on Friday, because Edwardstone really likes that. And I like, he's way overpriced again. I don't understand it. He's about 19 or something like that, isn't he, Dees?
21.0.
What? That's crazy.
You're getting the value on Matchbook.
Anything else for you, Jonesy, on Friday? Don't have to.
No, not as yet. That's my main handicap bet is Edwardstone in the county on Friday.
Fine, Rixie.
Yeah, just one for me. I think I'm going to flag up now. Is Third Time Lucky, pretty obvious one in the county hurdle. I heard a funny story where Dan and Harry Skelton were supposedly talking about this race, and they were laughing. You don't even need to back this fella each way, just back and win only. So who knows if it's true, but these are the kind of lies that the viewers love. So happy days.
They've won it twice before, haven't they? So
they haven't.
There you go.
He looks fairly handicapped, to be honest. And to be fair to the Skeltons, they've been pretty open that they do like him for the race. So again, not an obvious one, but I do think Third Time Lucky will go. I did put up Gavin Acko on the first pod that we did, and his form was given a serious boost by Bob Ollinger today. He's a very good moving horse, and I think he will love that new course, which I know you love. I'm just a little bit worried about the ground, because I do think he stays well. So whether or not he's worth a bet now, I think he's into 8s. That's another matter. But the form got a good boost today, which is obviously a positive.
8.2 Gabanaco for the Martin Pipe, 8.8 Third Time Lucky for the county. Toombs, who do you like, sir?
In the mares' chase, I think it's a straight fight between the two Mullins mares. And Ellie Mae's got form with Allahu. We've been discussing disputing favouritism for the Ryanair. The Ryanair's have raced 170 horses. I think 150 will be good enough to win this. And she was carrying a penalty there, only getting a couple of pounds in the Kinloch Bray. She was ridden from miles off the pace. And I don't think Allahu had gone too quickly and was stopping where he finished. She was given a lot to do after the break. She goes on any ground. She's a tough game little mare, loves her jumping. I respect Cole Reevy, but I expect Ellie Mae to win. And then in the race formerly known as the Fox Hunter, I was hoping that the ban on amateurs might lead to some of the Irish horses staying at home. But even though the big guns have turned up, I'm still very sweet on Bob & Co., who got a Racing Post rating of 155 when he spread eagled the field in the Walrus the other day. A couple of chancy jumps, he's got to get into a rhythm. But if he does, he brings a very high level of form to this. And the vibes from Paul Nicholls are very strong. I think he's still a good bet.
Bob & Co. in the Fox Hunter, and Ellie Mae in the new race at the festival. And Sam Turner, other bets on Friday for you?
I'll keep it brief so we can get a couple more of Richie's anecdotes in before we close. The one that I quite like is the one that Steve's gone with, which is Edwardstone. I think the drying ground, absolutely ideal for him. Not bad form, is it, that Supreme? I think the 7th one might have won today by about 12 wickets in the Coral Cup. So I think this is the first time he's had the opportunity to run on decent ground in a strongly run race with a big field at Cheltenham, a track that he handles pretty well. So fingers crossed he runs well at 20 point or 21.0, as Dees likes to say. And the other one I'll pass a decent message on for is Fleur in the last, the top one in the Martin Pipe. Been away to the Curragh for a bit of a work day. Galloped pretty sweetly on that occasion, has joined Joseph from Sneezy Foster's yard. had a couple of abortive runs over fences, caught the eye last time out, and I think the last 3 wins, Matt will tell us, the last 3 winners of this race all carry top weight. So 16, 20 to 1 could be of interest as well. But Edward Stone would be my primary pick on Friday.
And Matt's nodding to that stat as well. If Edward Stone wins on social media, we're going to give Sam loads of praise and not mention Jonesy, because that'd just be funny. Right. Before we come to best bets, just remind us, if you can, Dees, of the offer.
So the offer is 0% commission on all sports until April 12th if you sign up today with bonus code INSIGHTS.
Simple as that. Up until April the 12th on all sports. 0% commission, so you're guaranteed to get best odds. Right, best bets for Friday for Gold Cup Day. It's a big day. Rixie, best bet.
Not as big as Thursday, though. Come on.
Who's your best bet?
Best bet is Fakira for me, please.
Fakira for you in the Albert Bartlett. Jonesy, your best bet?
I'm going to put a short one in to see if I can get off the mark a little bit. Sunny here, I think, is very solid. So I'll go with that.
You worked hard for that one, mate.
DC, your best bet?
I'm going to go for Ganapathy in the county.
Ganapathy in the county. Matt, your best bet on Friday?
Aplutar in the Gold Cup.
Ooh, Aplutar. You've been very sweet on that. And Sam, your best bet?
Yeah, I'll go Plutard as well.
Oh, I love it. Agreement. Good stuff. That is our preview Cheltenham done. I don't want Friday to come because it's been so fun having Cheltenham this week. Thanks very much indeed, everyone. Sam, thank you very much, pal.
Cheers, Tom.
Matt, pleasure as always. Continue your good week. I hope. Cheers. Dees, well done today. We put the kettle on. Good stuff.
Nice one. Hopefully you continue the good form.
And Jonesy, thanks very much. You got a bit blurry, but well done.
Have I? Thanks, mate.
You're right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And
big couple of days coming up. Big couple of days.
Except for the Gold Cup, which you're not excited about. And Rixie, will you give
just a 2-time winner going for a third one anyway?
Yeah.
It'd be different if it was Fergal O'Brien training it.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Rixie, will you the postman?
Give Helen a hug from all of us? Yeah, when you get home.
I will, of course. Yes.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a fantastic last couple of days of the Cheltenham Festival. Bye bye from Team Matchbook.